Welcome everyone to our 30-minute core flow. Today's practice is going to focus on strengthening the core and having us work on coordinating our breath with the movement and engagement of the core. And today also marks the final class for Summer of Sweat 2023 for those of you who are participating in the challenge. And so I'm going to invite you at the end of our practice today to take a few moments in a very brief but sort of grounding gratitude meditation. And if you are someone who participated in SOS, I encourage you to use that time to really reflect on your journey over the past 90 days or so, and what you have gotten from the challenge and what you'll take from that into whatever is coming next for you. So that's sort of our plan for the day. Today we're going to start all the way down on our backs, so you can begin to make your way there. And as you do so, get comfortable and just hug your knees into your chest once you come all the way down. You can bring your hands right on top of your kneecaps. Take a little rock from side to side. Massaging your lower back into the floor for a moment. Maybe you close down your eyes here and just start to settle into some deep breaths. Noticing what you're bringing with you to your mat today. If there are any specific points of tension or stress in the body. And as you identify those, just use your nice deep exhales to melt into those areas a little bit more. Beginning to free the physical body of tension. And also take this time to notice your mental, your emotional state as you're coming into our practice today. And if there's anything that sort of followed you here to your mat that is not going to assist you in your goal of staying present with your practice, then I encourage you again to use your exhale to just let that go. And whatever it is, I'm sure it will be there 30 minutes from now when our practice ends. And so give yourself the gift of time here to just be free from anything else that's happening outside of the here and the now. And with that, we'll begin to bring the awareness again to the physical body, starting to engage through the core. So take a moment to plant your feet down onto your mat. Bring your hands right on top of your belly, and with your next inhale, really expand the belly into your hands. Fill all the way up. As you exhale, hug the belly button in toward your spine, away from your hands, and as you do so, press your lower back down into the floor. And we'll do this a few times together. So on your inhale, your own pace, fill the belly, expand. And on your exhale, press the low back down, hug the belly button in and up, maybe lift through the pelvic floor as well on your exhale. Take a few more engaged breaths here, awareness in the core, starting to coordinate the engagement of the core muscles with the rhythm of your breath. And in this way, we use the inhale as the release and the exhale to squeeze and engage. One more full breath here. Now returning to a normal breath cycle, now that we've sort of gotten the feeling for what that core engagement does in this torso area of the body, I'm going to ask you to find that engagement. So press your lower back down, lift through the pelvic floor, hug your belly button up and in. It's like you're wearing a corset. You're being hugged in from all sides of the waist. Can you keep that engagement of the core? as you lift one knee and then the other up to a tabletop position. And as you do that, you might notice, oh, there's space that wants to creep in between my lower back and the floor. So notice that and use your consciousness, your awareness here to self-correct. Press the lower back down, hug the belly button in. Try to decrease the space between your lower ribs and the top of your pelvis, your hip points. Squeeze in around the torso. Breathe as you do so. And again, we'll start to move now with the rhythm of the breath, keeping engagement in the core the entire time. So on your next inhale, drop your left toes to the floor. Exhale, hug the knee back up to meet the right, and we switch. Inhale, drop. And exhale, lift. 1 foot at a time is just gently tapping down to the mat here. Core is working this entire time, and the breath is supporting us here. You may transition to an open mouth exhale as we start to build some heat and up our energy here. You're welcome to stay where you are. If you'd like to add a little bit more, you can engage your arms so that the opposite arm as leg is extending up overhead as you drop your toes. So it would be right toes and left arm, or vice versa, reaching away from the body on the inhale and hugging back to center on the exhale. We'll do just a few more here. Again, always coming back to those points of focus. Lower back pressing down, belly button hugs up and in. Knit your lower ribs down to the top of your pelvis. And of course, breathe. Nice work, everyone. Almost there. Let's do one more on each side, evening out the right and the left. Once you've evened out your sides, go ahead and release your knees into your chest. Let the core relax. And instead of rocking side to side now, we're actually going to take the hands behind the knees and start to take a rock the full length of the spine. So taking a little rock and roll here. We're going to eventually make our way to a table pose on all fours. You can come through seated, or if you're feeling fancy, maybe you cross your ankles, plant your hands down, and then step your knees back. Once you are there, set up in your nice balanced table position here with your hands, your wrists directly under the shoulders, knees directly under the hips. And we'll start to move in the spine with a few cat-cows. On your inhale, drop the belly button down, lift your gaze. Exhale, tuck the tailbone around the shoulders, bring the chin to the chest. We'll take a few more rounds just like that, and you'll notice here that the engagement of the core is once again aligning with the exhale. So on the inhale, we're lengthening through the abdominal muscles in our cow pose. And then on the exhale, we're hugging the belly button up and in, squeezing the core as we press the mat away for cat. One more full round. Nice work. Coming back to a neutral spine now. Step your hands slightly forward. Tuck your toes under and lift your hips for our first downward facing dog of class. Taking some free movement here as you pedal out the feet, shake the head side to side, shift forward and backward. Anything that feels good as we start to warm into this sort of triangle shape in the body. And as you continue to move and breathe here, I'll just throw out that at any time today when we're in this downward facing dog, you can always modify by coming down to a child's pose with the knees wide, toes together, and hips back toward the heels. It's a great way to get some weight off of the wrists if you ever need that little break. Otherwise, downward facing dog will do. Let's take another full breath here to move. And then begin to settle into some stillness, finding a nice static downward facing dog. You can keep as much of a bend in the knees as you need to here as we continue to warm into the position. And from your static down dog, on your next inhale, take your gaze between your hands. Exhale, slow steps to the top of your mat. Find your forward fold. Bring a bend into the knees so you can really let the belly rest down onto the thighs. Grab for opposite elbows and sway from side to side, finding your ragdoll pose. And with the belly connected to the thighs in this way, we're sort of constricting the belly from rising in the way that it normally does on our inhale. One of the benefits of this posture is that it helps us to create space in the lower back instead. Because if you can't expand in the front part of your torso, then the body's gonna have to get creative and find another place for that space to go. And so in this case, your lower back is really what's gonna feel that expansion on the inhale. So take another 2 breaths here and see if you can really send your inhale to the lower back. Gently releasing the grip of the hands, let them dangle toward the floor, bend deeply into your knees, and we'll roll 1 vertebra at a time all the way up to stand. Nice and slow. Head comes up last. Roll the shoulders back and down at the top. And we'll get into a little bit of a flow here. So on your next inhale, standing tall in your mountain pose, reach your arms up toward the sky. As you exhale, soften your knees, fold forwards. Let the weight of the head come all the way down. Inhale for a halfway lift, long spine lengthen. Exhale, take your hands down to the mat, travel back to your plank pose of choice. Knees can always come down in plank, or you can keep them lifted. Either way, we're tucking the tailbone under, hugging the belly button in, find that corset sensation in the torso. Plug your shoulder blades onto your back and press the mat away with all 10 finger pads, not just the heel of your hand. Oh yeah, also breathe as you're doing all of those things. Use the breath to your advantage here. 1 more full cycle. On the inhale, shift slightly forward. Exhale, knees, chest, and chin come down to the mat. Lower all the way to your belly. Untucking the toes, press the tops of your feet down. Inhale, drag the chest forward and up, baby cobra. Stay light through the hands. Exhale to release. Can you engage your core as we do this motion? Inhale, lift the chest and shoulders. Exhale to release. Core is still on. Inhale, lift. Exhale, release. Nice work. Press up and back to your downward facing dog. Again, child's pose is an option. We'll take 1 nice cleansing breath cycle in through the nose, out through the mouth. Let it go. Inhale, gaze between the hands. Exhale, travel to the top of your space, forward fold. Inhale for your halfway lift, long spine here. Exhale, release to fold. Inhale, rise to stand, reach the arms up overhead at the top, take up space. On your exhale, pull the hands to heart center, press the palms together with energy, and we release the arms down by the sides for Tadasana, mountain pose. 1 reset breath here, big inhale, big exhale. Bring your awareness back to the present moment. On the next inhale, we reach the arms up to the sky. Exhale, soften the knees, fold forwards. Inhale for your halfway lift. And exhale, release. Travel back to your plank pose. Strong core, big inhale at the top. Exhale, lower halfway or all the way. You choose chaturanga so that we can inhale into our upward facing dog or cobra pose down on the belly if you prefer. On the exhale, we send the hips up and back to downward facing dog. 1 full breath cycle here. On your next inhale, take the gaze between the hands. Exhale to find your forward fold. Inhale for your halfway lift. Exhale, release. Inhale, root to rise. And exhale, pull the hands to heart center. Good. Arms come down by the sides. And we're going to start with a little standing balance to move us into our sequence. So beginning to bring your weight into your right foot. Just come up to the ball of your left foot to begin. See how it feels to root down through that right side. You can always tap the toe down here for balance support. If and when you're ready, flex through the left foot as you lift your left knee out in front of you here. Arms can come up on either side of the ears. We find our standing one-leg mountain, or what I like to call marcher pose. Use your core to your advantage here. That hugging in around the torso is going to help you to find your grounding in this posture. Take one more inhale where you are. We use the exhale to step all the way back to a high lunge. Try to move with control. As you land, make sure that you're standing on train tracks and not a tightrope here. So we want the feet to be hips distance apart, even in this lunge position. Once you find that, we're gonna inhale, cactus the arms, lengthen your back leg. On your exhale, bend both knees, squeeze your forearms together around the spine. Let's take that again. Inhale, cactus the arms, lengthen the back leg. Exhale, squeeze to the center, bend both knees. One more time, inhale, open and extend. Exhale, squeeze to the midline. Inhale, lengthen both arms up to the sky now. And on your exhale, send both hands down inside of your front foot, coming into a lizard pose, but we're gonna keep the back knee lifted. So this is our active lizard. So again, both of my hands are on the inside of my right foot, and I'm gonna walk the right foot a little more toward the right edge to create some space. Now here, I want you to find some movement in your hips. So can you press the mat away and start to lift your hips up? And then sink the hips down and start to pull your collarbone forward. And we'll transition between those two sort of variations of this posture a few more times here. One more moving round. The next place that we're going is a downward facing dog. I'm going to challenge you to get there with a core strengthening transition. So see if you can press the mat away, find that lift through the hips, squeeze your core so much that you can lift your right foot and keep your knee connected to your elbow. Just for a second, squeeze, squeeze, squeeze. Send the right leg up and back, one leg dog, and then release to downward facing dog. Phew. Okay, we made it. From here, we're gonna inhale, gaze between the hands. Exhale, travel to the top of your space, forward fold. Inhale for your halfway lift. Exhale to release. Inhale, rise to stand, reach all the way up at the top. And exhale, pull your hands through heart center. Good, let's take that same thing on our second side. So starting to bring your weight into the left foot now, come up to the ball of the right foot. Give yourself the same grace on this side to get nice and settled into that left leg. Feel rooted into the floor through your left foot. Right toe can always stay down for balance. If and when you're ready, flex through the right foot and start to lift your right knee up toward 90 degrees. Arms lengthen up overhead. Coming into our one-legged mountain, marcher pose. Use your core here to find that lift, that pulling to the midline. We'll take one more breath in to prepare, and on your out breath, start to send your right leg back behind you, stepping into your high lunge, move with control. Reset the feet as needed to find train tracks here, hips distance apart. Once you have the posture set, we'll use the breath. Inhale, cactus the arms, lengthen your back leg. And on your exhale, bend both knees, squeeze the forearms together, round the spine. Twice more. Inhale, cactus the arms, lengthen. Exhale, squeeze to the midline. Last time, inhale, open. Exhale, squeeze. This time as you inhale, send both arms up to the sky. Exhale, take the hands down on the inside of your left foot. Start to wiggle your left leg out toward the left a bit more, creating space for your active lizard pose. So that back knee is going to stay lifted here. And then we're going to move with the hips a bit. So when you're ready, you can press the mat away, start to lift the hips up, squeeze the core, and then reverse that motion, dipping the hips down, pulling your collarbone forward. Take a few more rounds, moving at your own pace here, starting to get into the hips. One more full round. Again, next place we're going is a one-legged dog with the left leg in the air. See if you can use that core transition to get you there, pressing the mat away, round the spine, lift the hips, create space, squeeze the core, hover your left foot above the mat, elbow to knee, squeeze, squeeze, squeeze. And then when you're ready, we kick all the way up to the sky and both feet come down. Nice work, everyone. Go ahead and take the knees wide, toes together, lower down to your child's pose for a moment. We've been using the hands a lot today, so you're welcome to roll out the wrists a few times. Give me some jazz fingers if you'd like. Get rid of any tension that you're feeling there. And believe it or not, short and sweet core flow today. We're going to start to wind things down a little bit. So from your child's pose, I'd love for you to begin to make your way back down to your back, however is easiest for you to get there. And as you come all the way down, we're going to plant the feet to the mat to make sure they're about hips distance apart with your heels nice and close to your glutes. Arms are down on either side of your hips here, fingertips reaching toward the heels with energy. Take a big inhale to prepare. On your exhale, tuck the tailbone under, roll the spine up to bridge pose. Hold here for a few breaths this first time through. Notice the distribution of weight in your feet. Can you bring more weight into your heels than into your toes? And can you balance between the inner and outer edge of your feet? Tendency is probably going to be to roll to the outer edge. See if you can continue to press down through the inner edge of your foot as well, so that inner thighs are working a bit to keep the thighs parallel. Okay, that's enough of that. Inhale, roll the tailbone back down to the floor. Exhale, press into the heels, lift the hips high. And we'll take a few moving rounds here. Inhale, release. Exhale to lift. And even though we're sort of doing the opposite position in the core as what a crunching motion would be, we're sort of opening through the front side of the body, but we still want the core to be engaged here in an effort to protect the spine, particularly the low back region. And so even though the core is not the primary muscle group that we're working in our bridge, we still want the core to be active here and to support us in this moving posture. Good. The next time that your hips come all the way down to the floor, go ahead and keep them there. Bring your knees into your chest once again. Hands come to the kneecaps and start to take those little rocks from side to side if that feels good. You might also choose to stir the knees in a circular motion, or you could separate the knees out from one another and then draw them back into the middle. So just see what feels good here with your hips. Take some free movement. And you are welcome to stay with the hands on the kneecaps or move into a more traditional happy baby pose, binding your peace fingers around your big toes, or maybe you prefer grabbing for the outer edges of the feet. If you do take that happy baby option, please remember that you can also continue to move. You're not expected to stay static in your happy baby. In fact, it's probably more beneficial to move and breathe, rock from side to side, lengthen one leg and then the other. Beginning to even out your sides if there are any one-sided movements that you've taken. And then we'll slowly start to bring the knees back into the center, squeezing them in toward the chest, taking a final compression here on the mat before we release to our final resting pose. So using the hands atop the knees, begin to lift your forehead up toward the knees, squeezing everything into this tiny, tiny shape. All of the muscles squeeze in toward the center of the body. Even the muscles in the face are squeezing as tight as they can. Take a big inhale. Exhale, release everything down onto your mat. Coming into your final resting pose of choice. Closing down your eyes and turning the palms up to face the ceiling, signaling your openness to the energy that we've created in practice today, and allowing that energy to integrate into the body here in our Shavasana. As mentioned at the start of class, I encourage you to use these last few moments here to focus in on a sensation of gratitude. Feeling gratitude for your practice, the many benefits that it brings. Feeling gratitude for your community that supports you in being here and taking this time for yourself. And perhaps most importantly, feeling gratitude for your own mind, body, and soul. Your intuition that guides you to take this time and this space to better yourself, to connect with yourself, and to accomplish your goals. We'll seal this moment of gratitude with a nice deep breath together. Take an inhale through the nose when you're ready. Exhale, sigh it out. Begin to reawaken the body with some small movements in your fingers and your toes, your ankles and your wrists. Maybe rocking the head from side to side. And eventually making your way onto one side of the body for a fetal pose. You can support your head with your bottom arm. And just take a moment to enjoy that sensation of melting into the mat for one more full breath here. Slowly begin to make your way back up to a seated position. No rush to get there. from a nice tall seat, we will finish with a final breath together. On your inhale, reach the arms out and up. On your exhale, pull the hands to heart center. Thank you so much for sharing your practice with me today, whether you were here for the live class or watching this recording. I appreciate you so much for joining me, and I hope that you can find some more opportunities for gratitude throughout your day today. Thank you so much.